Hey, so I got my one more upload going up. It should be up in a little bit. And I am indeed going to have time for one more, maybe two more videos. Because this computer that I use over here is going to disappear out of my life. And I'm only going to have one small computer. So, what I want to tell you about is something that I think is real important, and that's sleep. And you know, there's a lot of people who are in the raw food movement who are maybe trying to get by on low sleep, and I can tell you I'm very much not an advocate of it. You could get by on it. If you're gonna go short sleep, it's the best way to go, is to be a raw foodist, to take herbs, to drink water, and don't fool yourself, because you're gonna pay the price at some point. You know, I've never been an advocate of this, I'll tell you that much right now. In fact, when I was a part of a raw food meetup group, there was this guy who I basically consider a joker that was very much advocating about missing out on life by taking wheatgrass and getting a few hours of sleep. And he actually had posted it on the meetup.com on the front page of our local meetup about doing these calculations about how much in life you miss by sleeping too much. Well, that's crazy. That's absolutely freaking crazy. So I want to tell you, first off, one thing that I think is really important. Again, I'll go over here to my sleeping area. The bed sheet. And then number two is the new headboard I have that Truth Calkins gave to me. That's it. Like right there. And there's heavy magnets in it, like right through there, right on my head. So things kind of like cottage made. It doesn't look like the best thing in the world, but nonetheless, it's been working for me, and I'm going back to sleep. Okay, so the number two thing, or the number one thing that came into my life that was last summer. I got Truth and Jay at the Erewhon Tonic Bar call, quote unquote, the Druid sleep tonic. So this really changed me. I went back into a phase last summer where pretty much all my adult life I have been sleeping trying to get 5 hours of sleep for a long time. And I'll tell you, if that's your pattern, if you go take that on for years and years and years, and I'm talking 2 decades in my case, of trying to get by with 5 hours of sleep, sometimes less, that's going to become a routine in your pattern, a pattern in your routine. So your body gets used to that, and that's way, way too young in the sense of the way the Chinese look at it. That's yin and yang. Yin is the storage of energy, yang is the output of energy. So if you're living too much of a yang energy, you're basically burning it at both ends, you know? You're going to be in trouble. You're going to pay the price at some point. You may be getting away with it for a while, but somewhere you're going to pay the price. So I restored that pattern with this Druid sleep tonic, and I'm going to tell it to you, and then I'm going to post it down in the box, the description box, about this amazing tonic. Because what I did was I went to sleeping for 2 months for 10 or 11 hours. And if you take on no other of these expensive formulas that I tell you about. Do this one because it'll change your life, you know. And I do have to tell you that in my case, yeah, I've been smoking pot a lot in my life. Well, more in my 30s, not in my 20s. And getting into that pattern. And for me, when I stopped smoking pot, I have to digress in that. I did have a middle period from 35 to 40 where I was pretty much like completely straight edge, where I was talking about being, getting into raves and stuff like that. And I had a very young look in those days, and I blended in with that very well. And I didn't smoke pot. So I know that when I get away from smoking pot, I go back to lucid dreaming. And so I lucid dream all the time, every single night. And I think that is the beginning of this spiritual connection, which I talked about in my last video, of talking about getting better sleep, getting better dreams, setting yourself up for better sleep. So anyways, here's the Druid Sleep Tonic. In some just slightly warm Gynostemma tea, you want to use L-Theanine, GABA, and L-Lysine. Okay, I have those, but what I don't have, and I'm going to get this formula going because in probably about mid-April, I'm going to start this routine again. So in this brand, it's not so much the zinc, but the Mineral Life brand, what you want to take: magnesium, potassium, and calcium. Okay, so those are the minerals. So we have the amino acids and the minerals. Okay, so next up, we go with the herbs, which are yin herbs. So, and you can take this, I'll list the herbs, and then I'll tell you about a combination that you can take, different combinations. So one herb that really is going to help you get very deep sleeps is pearl. And so we want to add to that pearl, American ginseng, and while Chinese, Asian ginsengs are stimulating, American ginseng is not. So so we've got pearl, American ginseng, Hashu Wu. Okay, and then from there you can add in a formula by Dragon Herbs called Dewdrops, which it gets a little expensive because it's an alcohol extract, but also something that you can add, which I've been talking about formulas, and I'm all about formulas now, is this formula right here. Pearl Shen by Dragon Herbs. So that one's not so, like, that's going to last you for a while. You could take 4 caps of this in the Druid Sleep Tonic. And or what I was doing back last summer is you can go into Chinatown, and by the way, I save my bottles even when they're empties. Here's what Dewdrops looks like. But this is an expensive one. So if you want to know, like, some of these things, you can create these by going into Chinatown or getting a good dealer. And always a good dealer is like somebody I stand behind is Shaman Shack. Sometimes still a little pricey. Herbs in Chinatown, you know, you really run the risk of grade and what have you. Especially, I think the LA Chinatown, and especially Wing Hop Fung, is very, very reputable. But if you're in a random Chinatown, the grade of those herbs may not be. So what I will do is I'll read off Dewdrops for you. So you got Chinese asparagus root, which is a great one because that helps with the dreams. That gives you dreams of flying. American ginseng root, Poria. There's one name I'm not familiar with, the Pseudostellaria root tuber, the lily flower, and the Chinese licorice. Now, all of those exist in this one, the Pearl Shen. So And then also to that, you want to add schizandra and goji berries. So let me see if in a nutshell, I can kind of give you the herbs that you need to get. And I'm trying to tell you about the formulas and not working so much with these single herbs. So basically the herbs in the Druid Sleep Tonic is pearl, American ginseng, asparagus root, and I think that you could pretty much cut, hoshu, and goji berries and schizandra, and you could pretty much cut it off at that, those 5 herbs. So one more time: pearl, American ginseng, asparagus, Chinese asparagus root, schizandra, and goji. So how you want to add those in, and you put that all into a lightly warm Gynostemma tea, or just lightly warm water, or even better yet, go with I'm trying to think of the Western herb that's good to take right before sleep. Not remembering that one right now. I will, when I edit this video, I will go ahead and put that up in text. God, why am I drawing a blank on that? It's classic sleep. Anyways, so, and what I want to say again from a spiritual sense is getting this good deep sleep, and really being concerned with the yin part of your life, because this is a totally yang world. So don't be fooled by these people in the raw food movement, anybody that's telling you that you don't need the sleep that you need. You should really start working on getting up to doing anything you can to get up to 8 hours. And you don't want to use marijuana to do that. For me, if I was to smoke, I would go right back to that sort of 5-hour sleep. It would be sort of a zonk out sleep. I consciously go to sleep. I'm able to engage in a little bit of meditation, a little bit of prayer, a little bit of focusing before I go to sleep, and that's the way to do it. Get to bed early. You know, I see from a lot of you guys that send me messages and stuff like that you're playing the whole night owl thing, and try to go to bed with the sun and get up with the sun, essentially. And that's a little bit different in the winter time, you know, because the sun obviously goes down really early. So I want to try to get in bed by 9:30 and sleep more or less till 7. That's a good thing to do. And if you're going to go, when you take this sleep tonic, you're going to go into a deep, deep, deep sleep. And you're going to sleep like teenagers do. You're going to go back to that. And for me, when I first started on it, because I had gotten to such this yang constitution as my way of life, in the first few days when I woke up, I went just felt so groggy, like I'd freaking smoked a boatload of weed or something like that. And interestingly enough, when I was in that phase was one of the first times that I had a personal time that I spent with Truth. And I told him, yeah, man, dude, this thing is making me feel so groggy when I wake up. He goes, that's because of your yang constitution. And sure enough, it went away after about 3 or 4 days of this waking up very groggy. So take care of your yin, because this world is way too yang. Anyways, so I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to get one more video up before my computer disappears and tell you about what I'm doing with my take on the diet and the fact that I'm not vegan anymore, and where I've arrived at with where I'm thinking and some of the research that I've done. All right, this is Keith saying namaste.